where they're almost interacting or acting out of this crowd around this pyramid of lights, like in a scene from a movie.
Hi, I'm James, I'm from Wakefield. I'm a massive fan of Daft Punk. I've always wanted to see them live, but I never had the opportunity until this year. It was the most exciting day of my life, basically. There was thousands of people there, and there was a really massive sense of anticipation. Like, everyone was really, like, nervous. And then eventually, finally, it went dark, and there was this huge roar from the audience, and you just felt like kind of tingling down your spine, and then suddenly appears this red pyramid on stage, and you can't work out what it is at first. You can just see the outlines of it, and it starts to glow, and then like all the colours change, and then the top of the pyramid went up, and they were inside the pyramid, the two guys, the two robots from Daft Punk, and I was like, oh my god, this is incredible, and everyone's leaping in the air and just going crazy. It was just the most, like, unbelievably, like, intense musical experience and visual experience as well. It was sort of better than I could imagine. Nothing could really have prepared me for what it was actually like.
You still get nervous, yeah? But you don't think too much of everybody loving it so much, you know. As Thomas said, we have some work to do, and the first thing you have on your mind is to do the show right and to work and to make it the best possible. So that's the main idea I have when I go on stage, and I think it's the same for Thomas. Then you can think about the people, and they're all there and they like what you do, but that's not what I think. I want the show to be, when the show is done, that everybody has a good experience, and for that we have to make it right.
But what about the dirty rumour that it's not actually them inside the mask when they're performing?
The only thing that we can say is, who could ever think about not wanting to stand in a pyramid in front of 20,000 people screaming at you? Would there be something more exciting to do for us? Obviously not, you know. So to think that we would not want to live that moment of validation for the last 10 years or 15 years of work that we've done, and that we would try to put someone else in for that moment, which is so magic, seems really crazy to me. So I can't even imagine not being in the pyramid at that point and asking for someone to live that magical moment.
It's quite stupid as a runner, because I wouldn't trade my place, you know, for anything.
Well, there, that's the rumour put to bed. But on the flip side, if people don't actually believe it's them inside the outfits, they also don't have a clue what Thomas and Guy look like on the outside.
There was a funny story with Guy DJing in a club in Paris a very long time ago. When he said he was DJing and then he was from Daft Punk, and the bouncers didn't believe him and they just kicked him out of the door, you know. So like, yeah, you're from Daft Punk, you know. And finally he went home and we didn't DJ. There are stories of many people pretending to be us too, which is, you know, fun, because it's at the exciting thing about these mystic elements is that we play with a thin line between fiction and reality. The funniest story about someone impersonating ourselves was about a guy pretending to be me in Ibiza, and he spent the summer going into clubs and opening tabs and, you know, drinking champagnes in VIP rooms and stuff like that, which is completely what I'm not doing. So kind of like coming and say, oh, you know who I am? I'm Thomas from Daft Punk, etc. And by the time he had done it so much, the Guardia Civil put him behind bars and sent him back to Belgium, I think, and all the club owners were really annoyed. And when we went to DJ there, it was I think David Guetta that was organizing the parties at that time, and he was trying to find a place, and everybody was fed up with Daft Punk just because of this guy. So people were like, oh no, Daft Punk, we don't want to hear about them anymore, you know, they ruined the summer with all these bottles. And the guy was like, yes, but it was not them, you know, it was just someone else. And they were, yeah, we know, but it was too annoying to think about Daft Punk anymore.
Daft Punk, banned from Ibiza. I bet those club promoters are kicking themselves now. Well, we've heard a lot from Thomas and Guy about why they keep themselves a secret, but there's something we associate with them that they haven't mentioned at all, being French. Dave Clark explains why it's not that important.
The reason they came to Soma was because they didn't just want to be another French band on F Communications, because very early on Laurent Garnier was interested in them, and Thomas and Guy Manuel just didn't want to be grouped as part of this French thing, and because they'd met us and they liked what we did, they were kind of happy to be on a label from Scotland, you know, it just seemed kind of right for them.
Here's Thomas.
Having started to make music initially in the UK, we don't feel proud of being French, I think, because this music was even less accepted in France at the time. The police and the government was really tough on that, so we felt we've always fought more for the music itself and trying to change things in France rather than fighting for France to get some kind of recognition all over the world.
We come from France, but we don't want to be ambassadors of France or any nation, you know.
Well, whether they like it or not, it's difficult to see how France would be thought of as such a home of good music as it is today without them. Branco knows full well.
Before Daft Punk, France was like a third world country of music. It still is, actually. They created like a path. It was impossible to think French musicians as a person that were credible in as musicians before them. I would say there was only Serge Gainsbourg and then Daft Punk. So I would say they were crucial.
Serge Gainsbourg and Daft Punk. What a pairing. But time with the boys was running out, and there seemed to be only one question left to ask.
Who are the real Daft Punk? I guess it's by working on all these projects that we'll maybe be able to answer the question when all of this is over. We are trying to solve this mystery as well. I think it's really hard to ask yourself, what are we doing? What is it all about? From a Daft Punk perspective, I think we are what we do. We never expected any of these great successful things to happen. Feel very fortunate in a very tough world for artists. It's exciting, it's work, but it's definitely fun, and we feel very fortunate also to have been able to work so far on this project.
I think we are just having fun, you know. To me, it's like two kids playing.
So, in the words of the great masters themselves, they're just two kids playing about. But little did they know, 10 years ago, that they'd be a whole lot more to everybody else. Vitalik.
They are timeless because your collective and consciousness is something you have in your head, but you don't know where precisely. Maybe it's because your parents were listening to this music, or maybe when you were a kid, or you know. So it's somewhere all the time. There's something nostalgic in the music, and also technologically and technically advanced. So this is why they sound very fresh.
Work it, make it, do it, makes us.
Branco.
They didn't let us down, you know. They had something and they didn't lose it. And it's so rare, you know, to be able to keep what makes you unique for that long, you know. They never had a moment of weakness, you know, the weakness to do what people expect you to do. So yeah, they could be proud of themselves.
Kanye West.
But it was just one article where this dude was trying to diss me for sampling them because I didn't know about their music. You stepped on sacred ground, Kanye, and that makes you terrible and stuff. Like, no, but what about the fact that people just love it and enjoy it? And, you know, for all the reporters with the stick in their ass, just get up off your high horse and just enjoy some music. Go to the bathroom, grab a drink, and come back and dance.
Dave Clark.
They're definite geniuses. There's not many people you can say that about.
Mark Ronson.
I think the reason that they've lasted so long is because they continue to make good shit, and then on top of that, when you're the first person to plant the flag in the sand, people are always going to come to you. Like, there's kind of people that are the real sort of forebearers of a movement, whether it's Daft Punk or D'Angelo or whoever it is. People are always going to want to check for what they do because they're just kind of like, I said before, the godfathers of it.
So, for all my talking to people, I've not really managed to discover that much about them. The godfathers of a movement, that is a good way to sum it up. Thomas and Guy Manuel have kept themselves well hidden from the public, and instead, it is the art form that matters.